Hello and welcome to Black Crow Gaming. I am your host Arron, and this week we are going to be taking a dive into 5 strong lists for the Adeptus Custodes. And if you're one of the loyal 10,000 and wish to be a part of join the loyal 10,000, I have a Discord for Adeptus Custodes, and it will be in the description below. Feel free to join the 10,000. As I said, this week we're going to be talking about 5 strong lists for the Adeptus Custodes, but before we get into that, we have 2 sponsors. We have Glasshammer, who are kindly sponsoring us, and if you like to get cheaper miniatures, then if you go over to Glasshammer, you go into the coupon code, you put in Black Crow, you get an additional 5% off, and why would you not want to do that? They already offer 15% off, get it up to 20, why not? And if you're a Terrain Forge fan, go to BCG5 in Terrain Forge and you get an additional 5% off their amazing bespoke terrain. Anyway, that is my sponsors. If you like what you see, please remember to hit that magical like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification so you do not miss any of these awesome presentations. So, first things first. Let's talk about some key points. So, I'm only going to be using Shield Host, Talons of the Emperor, Solar Spearhead, and Lions of the Emperor. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute, there is only 4 detachments being displayed here. We have 6. I've never personally used Null Maiden because I do not have the miniatures to do it. So I've based these lists on my own views and thoughts of what models I have. I have also never used Auric because Lions of the Emperor is just a flat better version of it. So there's no point. We're in a good place, old Adeptus Custodes. We're more versatile than ever. And I hope this is seen through the list. There is going to be a common denominator, and I am sorry, but it's just very difficult to build lists without them. I know there is certain people out there that is doing that, but for my particular playstyle, and I think as well if you're a beginner or coming into Adeptus Custodes, it's probably good for your playstyle too, to get on and use these units too, and I'll explain them to you. But Adeptus Custodes are in a good place. They've got a good win rate, they've been doing okay at events. We may be a tad too expensive with certain units, because we are still a little elite. However, that doesn't mean that we can't compete with some of the armies out there. We are not top of the meta, absolutely, by no stretch of the way. But we're in a good place, and I think that's healthy for where we need them to be. So the first list is a Shield Host list. I've gone with a double Blade Champion, 1 unit of 4 Custodian Guard, 2 unit of 4 Custodian Wardens with Vexilla, 2 Caladius Grav Tanks with Blade Cannons, 2 ×3 Venatari, 3 ×4 Witch Seekers, and 1 ×2 Virtus Praetor, and then Inquisitor Draxus. So obviously Inquisitor Draxus goes with the Custodian Guard because their fire and shooting output is really strong. I put Auric Mantle on because I basically had some free points, so why not have a bit of a slightly tougher Blade Champion? This list is very good with its output. It can actually sit back a little bit and kind of ponder its move, but you've got, the 2 Caladius Grav Tanks are there to kind of keep tanks a bit honest, and then you've got these other units which do really hit up and punch up well when it comes to fighting and combat. Now, the stratagems in Shield Host are okay, as if you're one of the 10,000, you've been looking at Adeptus Custodes. We have a 4 up against mortals for 1 CP. We have fallback, shoot and charge. We have sustained hits. If we've lost a model, we get some extra attacks. There's some okay. Oh, we do it, and sticky objectives. Don't forget that. We have some okay stratagems in this detachment. The ability to either have an extra AP or crit on 5 and 6s is very strong, and critting on 5 and 6s is really nice in this detachment, and it means that this army here can really hit hard when it does hit home. And this is why I think Blade Champions and Wardens are really important in Shield Host, because of that advance and charge. Now, I know other players out there are doing quite well without them and don't feel that they need them, but they are in turn using an awful lot of Venatari, which, they move 10, they hit really hard, but it's kind of that glass cannon. You're almost trying to do as much damage with shield host as you possibly can, to hope that your opponent cannot then return fire and do an awful lot of damage to yourself. This list that I've built, I think, kind of answers quite a few questions in the meta, and the tanks are there to keep vehicles honest, to help you with that anti-tank, so your units don't need to concentrate on going out and getting tanks before they're shot off objectives. The Venatari are there to help you score points, the Vertus Praetors are there to help you score points, and the Guard and the Wardens are there to do your damage. Nice and straightforward list, really good list for if you're a beginner into the scene. The next one is Talons of the Emperor, and yes, again, 2 times 1 blade champions. But I've also got Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike with Salvo Launcher and the Aegis Protector. And I like the Aegis Protector because every turn you get to turn the first damage taken from that unit to 0. So you're obviously going to attach him to or her to one of the Vertus Praetor units, and they're going to have a great time. I'd probably rapid ingress that unit he's attached to keep them extra safe and get the most out of them. We've got 1 Rhino in this list, and obviously that's going to be driving the Witch Seekers around. Because all the Witch Seekers have Scout, the Rhino also gets Scout, so it's actually really quite fast. You've got 2 times 4 Wardens with Vexilla. Again, I love Wardens. I don't leave home without them, and I think they're a really good unit in Custodes. And you know what? We should be using these units because they are really strong and they are really survivable. I've got 1 unit of 6 Venatari for that extra hitting power. I have got 1 Calades Grav tank in this with blaze cannons just to keep people honest, and I've got a Calidus Assassin, and the Calidus Assassin is to help score points up and down, do the Vectora. Now Talons is a little bit more of a tricksy army, and one of the things that people know about is that Folger Piles won the Warhammer World Champs with a Talons of the Emperor list. That was triple Warden Brick Blade Champions, and what was really key in that was the ability to be able to a reactive move, and this list can make really good use of that. The 1 unit of 6 Venatari is a big hitting piece, and you want that reactive move with those Venatari to help keep them safe and alive. The Rhino, obviously, you're going out and you're scoring points with that, and the Rhino can funnily enough score you points for a long time, and it's quite entertaining, the fact that a Rhino can do so well. The Vertus Praetors are going to be, again, they benefit from that reactive move as well. So this whole point of the list is you're using that shield captain to move around. So you get into combat, you then get that additional move at the end, and then if you need to, you can then reactive move them even further. This list is quite tricksy. Talons is one of the more difficult attachments in Adeptus Custodes to get right, but when you do play it a lot and you do get it right, it's very strong and really useful, and your opponent really struggles to deal with that. And I personally really like it. But I think one of my favourite attachments is this next one, and that's Solar Spearhead. Solar Spearhead is still really good. Yes, it got some points increases in the last data slate and field manual. Namely, the Telemon went up and the Augury Uplink went up. But that is still really strong. Still makes that Telemon ridiculously tough. So I've gone for 1 Blade Champion, 1 Shield Captain, 1 Telemon. 1 Caladius Grav Tank with Blade Cannons, 1 unit of Wardens with Vexilla, another Telemon Dreadnought with Arachnid Storm Cannons, and then 1 times 3 Venerable Dreadnoughts with Multi-Melter, and 3 times 4 Witch Seekers. Now, the Venerable Dreadnoughts are your action monkeys almost. They get up, they'll hold your objectives, get up on a 2+. They're super good, super durable, fantastic. And yes, they're 170 points, but they're still worth it, in my opinion. The Telemon with the 2 Arachnid Storm Cannons, I just want that just to try and mow down some chaff and support the other Telemon Dreadnought with the Arachnid Storm Cannon and the Fist and the Augury Uplink. So they're kind of going to be walking around together, and I just want that so that they can really pump out that mortal wound damage. You're probably wondering, why have I taken Wardens in a Solar and a Shield Captain in a Solar list? Now, the reason I have done that is for the following reason. Is because I like the opportunity to be able to go through walls at multiple stages. So The Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bike will go with his 2 Virtus Praetor buddies with salvos. Now, they can free CP to go through walls either in the movement or in the charge. That's really important now, because you can use that in multiple phases. So if you want to move your Dreadnought through one phase to charge something that's maybe not behind the wall, you can. If you then want to use your Blade Champion to go through the walls and make a charge, it's about connecting multiple charges in one phase. Now, the one thing Solar Spearhead struggled with, because they're all vehicles, is getting around buildings. And if you can mitigate that, like this list does, it gives you multiple units going through the wall at one time. It gives multiple threats happening at your opponent at the same time. Now, it's really important when playing Warhammer to try and overload your opponent with information, and Custodes are really good at that, because if they put a high press and put all of a sudden lots of units doing lots of things in one turn, it could be really devastating for your opponent to deal with, and that's something they have to deal with. They can't just ignore it, and Solar Spearhead is what we call a stat check army. Now, what that means is that they're all high toughness, they've got a lot of wounds, and they're difficult to move and destroy. Now, the current meta does have a lot of vehicles in, and funnily enough, actually, so Spearhead still fares well. I mean, someone recently went to a tournament, quite a large one. I think it was like 80 players. If you check Meta Monday, you'll be able to see it, and they went 5-1 with that, with a similar list. Now, it just shows that Solar Spearhead still has game, and it's still worth taking, and I really like this list. You probably also noticed I paused, and then when you came back, the list had changed. Yeah, it's because I'd realised that I'd forgotten the Virtus Praetor, so I quickly paused the recording and went and did that, and then came back to start recording with yourself, folks. So this is my other list that I really, really like. Now, I'm going to go on to Lions next. So I've done 2 lists of Lions of the Emperor, because actually there's so many different styles of play in the Lions of the Emperor list. So this is my list, but I can't take any credit for it. I am using a list that my very good friend Luke from Redacted took to a RTT, 40-man RTT, and won the whole thing with. And I thought I like that list, because I've been struggling with building some Lions lists, and I've had some play with it, and it's actually doing really well. So it's 3x3 Blade Champions, boo, really boring, but still really effective. 1 Alara Shield Captain with the +3 strength, +1 AP, +1 damage. 1 unit of 2-man Alara's Custodians to go with that Shield Captain, to basically sit in the middle and go, come at me, bro. 3 units of 4 Wardens with Vexilla. It's because they're just flat good. They've still got the 4 up Feel No Pain. They've still got a 4 up in Vulnerable Save. They still hit like a bus, because in Lions, that +1 to hit, +1 to wound is really nice when you just need units to potter around. I'm also, just before I go any further, I love fighting death with Wardens. It makes that unit horrible to charge, because whoever charges it, there is a high chance that you are going to, if you lose that unit, you are going to take a good proportion of the unit that just attacked you with you, and it's very good. I've got 2x3 Venatari here with the spears. These guys are just there to kind of rapid ingress in and be a threat. 2x2 Virtus Praetor with salvo launchers. Now, they're actually your anti-tank, and they are carrying essentially las cannons, but they get better in Lions. They obviously have that +1 to wound. So hitting on 2s, wounding on 4s, twin linked actually makes them a lot more efficient. Then you've got 2x4 Witch Seekers, and these ladies are literally just there to go and score you points. Now, list number 2, and this is the one I came up with, which is a little bit different, probably a little bit more flavour. This is got 2 Blade Champions in, 1 Alara Shield Captain with the Adamant and Mortis again, 2x4 Custodian Guard, 1 Grav Tank with a Blade Cannon, 1x3 Alara's Custodian, 2x4 Wardens with Vexilla, 1x2 Virtus Praetor Salvo Launchers, 2x4 Witch Seekers, 1 unit of Prosecutors, Inquisitor, and Draxus. This is a shooting list. It packs a lot of shooting. That's what it's there to do, because actually Custodian Guard with an Inquisitors, they pump out an awful lot of dev wounds. They've got the double shoot, and their shooting can be devastating if into the right target. And if you haven't tried it, proxy an Inquisitor, give it a go. I promise you won't be disappointed. Just make sure they're on the objective for that reroll to wound. The Caladius Grav Tank with the blade cannons is so reliable at killing. And if you don't have a Caladius Grav Tank, that's okay. I would probably just pack it with more Virtus Praetors to get that anti-tank funsies. The Alaris Custodians, obviously, the Alaris are really cool that they're now coming back into lists. And I know some people love them in Shield Host. I find them a bit slow. What I like about them in Lions lists is that they've got multi-uses. You can use the stratagem, the Lions, to split them all up. And then you can pick one of the guys up, go do an action if you really need to, or if you're worried about that. And that's something I probably would consider, because actually something sometimes Adeptus Custodes units struggle with, and players struggle with, is having pieces to go off and do actions for us. So if I can do that with an Alaris Custodian, probably worth it, and I quite like it. I think if I was going first, it makes more sense to split the unit. Because then, at the end of your opponent's first turn, you can pick them up, and you're ready to position yourself for actions. Now, these are my 5 hot take on lists. Now, what would be really cool if somebody actually runs this list, or any of these lists? Let me know how you do. Write it in the comments. Give me your lists in the comments. Tell us what your lists you've been experimenting with are, and hopefully as a community we can build this bank of cool Adeptus Custodes lists to be shared out for everybody to use. I don't believe in hiding your list or your tactics. I think we should be sharing our tactics, and I think we should be sharing all of that, and we should be giving out this education, and I don't think there needs to be a cost with that. I think we can just... When I learnt to play Warhammer, I learnt by going to Games Workshop and meeting friends, and then I just continued playing over the years. The more people I got to meet, the different experiences I got, and then I just got better along the way. And whenever I wanted to learn new things, yes, I've just gone to YouTube and I found it, or I might have I've made more experienced friends who have then been able to give me some tips, and it's exposure that's helped me develop. Now, I hope that I can help you all by giving you some exposure to some cool ideas, some cool lists. If you've got any awesome, juicy combos, please put them in the comments below. I've been Arron. It's been great speaking to you all about my 5 awesome Adeptus Custodes lists, and I hope you enjoyed them. Take it in.